All right, ladies and gentlemen, we now have the next question to address. What is that? What are the three main ideas that people have about origins today? And so, one of them will not be what, if Professor Veazey's analysis is correct? One of them will not be the one at this end. What was that called again? Fixity of species. And so the three ideas will be the shrubs idea, the partially interconnected tree, and the totally interconnected tree. Those are the three main ideas that people have today. And so there are a fair number of folks at the far left edge of the spectrum that believe in 100% natural processes. That doesn't mean they're atheists by any remote stretch of the imagination, that they just simply believe there was no supernatural activity in the development, the origin, and diversification of life on this earth. What shall we call those folks? I'm going to call this, since they're at the 100% natural end, I'm going to call them totally natural evolutionists. Totally natural evolutionists. Now, you will not see that name in literature. That's a name I made up. There's lots of different names depending on which direction you're coming at that. But I'm just going to call them totally natural evolutionists because they believe that change took place over many millions of years by 100% natural processes. Then we have the folks in here that believe in predominantly natural processes, but some supernatural activity. And so I'm just going to kind of draw something over here, and there is a common name. Now I kind of made that one up, but this name of the folks in here, you can see they kind of cover a broad spectrum. They are called, very commonly called, Old Earth Creationists. Old Earth Creationists. Now you will read that a lot if you happen to study these kind of things. And Old Earth Creationists, they believe in predominantly natural origins with some supernatural guidance, kind of, tweaking things and moving things along. So here we could call this, if we want to, we could call this unguided evolution. Unguided evolution. In other words, no supernatural involvement, unguided evolution. And this we could possibly call, if we wanted to, guided evolution. Evolution over many millions of years, mostly natural processes, but with some supernatural guidance, kind of tweaking things, moving things on down the road. And so that leaves one group down here. It's kind of draw that very well, but it's kind of a group that doesn't have much variation. There's some variation in their ideas, but what would they be called, or what are they called? I'm not making this one up either. This is a very common name for these folks. These are the shrubs folks, by the way. The shrubs folks, they are commonly called young earth creationists. Young earth creationists. Now, by creation they mean some supernatural activity, but they believe in a lot of supernatural activity here. And in other words, they believe in, what was that again? Just microevolution? Yeah, a small amount of natural change after a major supernatural start-off, you might say. A little bit of natural process, microevolution, after a major supernatural getting things going. All right, and we don't have anybody down here at the far right end, not today, not according to Professor Veazey's analysis. So everybody believes in at least a little evolution, right? Yeah, who believes in the most? Of course, these folks down here. Now, what's this young Earth, old Earth thing? Well, old Earthers and totally natural evolutionists believe in the standard geological time scale, Cambrian, Ordovician, Silurian, Devonian, all the standard geologic ages. Old Earth, they believe in all that. Whereas these folks down here have a very unique belief, and that is they believe the Earth is very young, on the order of a few thousand years old, like maybe 20,000 or 30,000, from scratch, young Earth, from scratch, only in the order of a few tens of thousands of years old. So we got millions and so forth down here, and we got thousands down here. Now, how do you get to be in each one of these groups? You get to be in each one of these groups if you have an opinion or an answer to one of two questions. What are those two questions? Well, one would be the age of the Earth. And do you believe the Earth is young? In other words, a few tens of thousands perhaps young, or do you believe it's old, millions and millions and millions of years old? And secondly, what do you believe about supernatural involvement in origins? Supernatural involvement. There we go. And whether you think there was, yes there was, or no there was not. And so how do you get into each one of these groups? How do you get in the totally natural evolutionist group? Age of the Earth, old or young? Young or old? It'd be old. And what about supernatural involvement? Yes or no? Well, the answer would be no, right? How do you get to be in this group? What do you believe about the age of the Earth? Well, obviously old, right? Old. And what about supernatural involvement? Yes, there was some. Maybe not too much, but at least some. And then how do you get into this group? Obviously, age of the Earth, what? Young. And supernatural involvement, yes. And so, if you have an answer to those questions, you've got an opinion, that puts you in one of these three groups today. All right, folks, that's the end of this part of the analysis. We got one more little question to go, and we'll be done. You're hanging in there. You're doing great. All right, let's shut this one down.